Hi, Peter Allen, Vigortransformations, and what I'm going to do today is first I'm going to do a video on the TRX. I've noticed all too often myself is my tissue in my kind of mid-back thoracic area is too tight, as well as kind of my traps, and what I want to do is start to kind of facilitate better movement through my upper body. So first video I'm going to do is with the TRX. For those of you who do have a TRX, you could do this with weight, but again, kind of lighter weight is better. Try not to go too heavy, because you want to facilitate a bigger movement. This could also be done with resistance bands as well. So what I want to do is, again, I want to get my fascia moving between my shoulder blades and my rhomboids, my traps, my lats. So first I'm going to kind of start with the TRX, and really what I just want to do at first is just kind of stretch. So I'm just going to kind of sit down into this, kind of let my arms get pulled out of my shoulder complex. I'm going to twist a little bit to each side. So I notice like my right lat is a little bit tight. And that's another good thing to kind of take note in terms of, where are you feeling the tightest, where are you getting restricted, what's kind of holding you back in movement patterns. Because that's really our biggest problem. I started to realize with myself is it's my tightness that makes people feel weak. And if I can break up and loosen that tissue and promote better movement patterns, I'm not going to feel weak anymore because I've got better angles to take with my body. So just kind of leaning through, okay, coming underneath. I'm going to kind of shift and turn my hips a little bit. So this is going to promote release all the way through the hips. Okay, but again, I notice my tightness in my arms, or my lats rather. Now again, this would be great if you had a percussion device and kind of loosened up in here. I'm not going to kind of do that yet today. Now I'm going to come through and I'm going to go to the front. So kind of same thing. I'm going to kind of step in and I'm going to let my arms come out to the side. Get a big chest stretch. And it's going to kind of hold. Weights on my right foot. Slightly leaning in, not a ton of pressure. Again, you want to feel the stretch, but you shouldn't feel kind of pain or discomfort. I'm going to bring the arms back. I'm going to switch the lead leg, coming in and forward. Again, weights on my left leg now. Stretch. I'm going to go into it a little bit more. And repeat that process back. I realized maybe about 10 years ago I started focusing more on the strength aspect and not enough on the flexibility aspect. And that's kind of one of the great things with kind of TRX I kind of forgot about for a little while, is that mobility. I'm going to switch again, coming up, back in. All too often, sometimes we're maybe trying something a little bit too hard or a little bit too heavy. Kind of the good thing about body weight is kind of gives us an idea of what our kind of true strength is. And again, it allows us to get through full ranges of motion, or we should be able to. All too often, kind of, again, we're throwing weight at things, but we're only strengthening ourselves, one more each side, in that small range of motion, as opposed to facilitating a good big movement pattern. And you just got to move more, or you get bigger movement patterns. Hey, and that's the big thing I realize all too often. Switch is my scar tissue is what holds me back. I've only been, this is probably one of the, again, first slight workouts I'm doing in a while, but again, this is just on facilitating fascia movement. Also, I want to keep the head up. All too often you'll see when people are moving in the gym, they're jutting the head forward, okay? The body's trying to find strength, okay, and again, that's tightness that's making you do that. Okay, next thing, even though I'm doing the upper, I'm going to stretch the lower a little bit. So I'm going to go for kind of adductor hip stretch here. So I'm going to hold these, I'm going to step out to the side, and I'm going to squat right down into it. Trying to keep this leg straight, okay, so you could do this without it too. I'm getting a good stretch. I used to do this one all the time. I forgot about how great a stretch this one is to get that, again, adductors a lot of times, myself included, I started getting too linear. Okay, working in this range of motion, not working side to side enough. You know, if I'm trying to get in there, kind of hold it. Now actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to rotate that leg a little bit, increase that stretch a little bit more. I'm going to come up, and I'm going to go other side. I should say blade first, sorry. And again, even I don't want to get there, because again, that's tight. And then let the foot switch. A lot of times we're mistaking hamstring tightness for adductor tightness. I realize that myself included, because your adductors run the whole length of the inside of the leg, and that is all too often where everybody gets really tight. Okay, I'm going to come up and go outside again. Now, I should be able to sit upright, but again, because of my tightness that I've been working on, my flexibility, getting slightly restricted here in this hip, and then in the other leg as well. Now I'm going to let that rotate. And come back up. Same thing other side. So this side I have much tighter. Again, I can feel it in that right hip. I developed a ton of scar tissue there, I realized. And I've been trying to break it up. The only way to break it up is to get through those glutes in the back. You don't realize how much scar tissue you've got there. And that's even why, even though I'm not working my upper today, get better movement, stretching the hips, kind of trying to open them up so I can increase my balance, mobility. So I'm going to start with an upright row, or high, sorry, not upright, high row. Okay. I'm going to kind of get my rhomboids moving, lean back. I'm going to go big movements here. So to keep my core tight, I'm going to let myself round a little bit, and then I'm going to pull. Decelerate nice and slow, let yourself round out, and pulling back. So again, going big movement. I too often started kind of thinking shoulders compact and back, and I was kind of staying so stiff, I realized, over the last few years. And now I started to understand what I should have is facilitating these big movement patterns. So again, I was kind of using weight more often than not, which you don't want to be all too often rounding sometimes with these big motion patterns. If you're doing a seated row at the gym though, you can get away with it. You just gotta be careful. Again, my head's staying neutral all the time. Right? I'm not jutting the head forward. Pull. Now if I was going for explosiveness, I might explode. You've got to be careful. I've got to know my own strength and not kind of take too much tension off and kind of jerk